And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel, and I am here actually out of the studio at Plan B headquarters because I really like Century Spice Road, but we've all been excited because Century Eastern Wonders is coming out. This is the sequel and is compatible with them. Now, the way this works is there's essentially two games that's coming in Century Eastern Wonders. There's a brand new game, and then there's a game that uses components from both of these to make kind of a hybrid type game. That's going to be in a different video, so you can go watch that one and you'll be able to see how they fit together. In this video, we're just going to talk about what's in this game. You're like, I've never even heard of this game. Who cares? We want to show you how this one works, Century Eastern Wonders, and to do that, I figured, go to the source. We're going to let the designer explain how to play it.
Hello, my name is Emerson Matsuuchi, and we're going to learn how to play Century Eastern Wonders. So the game is laid out, and the object of the game is to get the most victory points. Each player is going to receive a player board, and they will be shuffled and randomly dealt out. The player with the start player token, or the start player symbol, will be the first player. At the start, you want to put all your trading posts on each of the open spaces, or these nice little wooden houses, on each of the open spaces that are on the board. Okay. Each player is also going to receive a boat in their color. Place the cubes over here to the side in this order. You want yellow, red, green, and brown. Okay. After you laid out the board with the tiles, you will then place victory point tokens on each of the port tiles. So in the game, there are two different types of tiles. You have the market tiles, and those are denoted by an icon over on the side. It could be one of the 4 different icons, as well as you'll see cubes up here, or a conversion. So you'll be trading those cubes for the ones listed below it, denoted by this little arrow right here. So these are considered market tiles. Over on the corners of the board, we have the port tiles. Now the port tiles don't have an icon, but that's where we place the victory point tokens here. And you can see each victory point token has the number of cubes listed on the bottom. So those are the cubes that you will need to turn in order to get those victory points. Okay. A player's turn is quite simple. At the start of the game, players are going to be selecting their starting resources. At the beginning of the game, we're going to have some resources over here. Once we determine who is this first player, then in reverse turn order, the last player is going to select first from these selected resources over here. So they can take 4 yellows, 2 reds, 2 yellows and a red, or a green and a yellow. And it'll go in reverse turn order until it gets to the start player. Then at the very first turn of the game, if your boat is not on the board, you may place your boat anywhere on the board. And then there are basically 3 actions that you can take depending on which tile that you're on. If you are on a market tile, which you'll probably be spending most of the time on, you may take a house from your board that matches the icon that's listed on the island here. So in this case, it's a green island. You would take a house from the leftmost side of your board and place it on that tile to show that you have now a trading post there and you now may trade at that location. In this case, you could trade 1 brown cube for one of each of the other 3 colors. And if you have more brown cubes, you may do this trade any number of times that you'd like. If you find yourself on a port tile, then you may, as your action, take this victory point token by redeeming the listed cubes that are on that token. Okay. The third type of action that you can take is called the harvest action, and this is an action you could take on any of the tiles. So you could simply take 2 yellow cubes and add it to your cargo hold. Okay. So you'll notice as you take these houses off and place them onto the board, when you clear one of these columns on the board, then up here it lists that you may take one of the upgrade tiles here. So we have 5 different upgrade tiles listed here. So this tile, when you have this ability, each time that you place down one of your houses on the islands, you get to upgrade one of your cubes. And what upgrade means is that you can upgrade a yellow to a red to a green, or a green to a brown. Also, it's going to be worth 2 victory points at the end of the game. This tile right here, each time that you take the harvest action, you get 2 yellow cubes. If you have this tile, you may also take a red cube along with it. Normally on your turn, your boat can move one space, and if you wanted to move additional spaces, so for instance, if your boat was on this tile and you wanted to move over to here, you could move to here for free, but then for each additional island that you skip over, you'll have to place a cube on those islands. If you have this upgrade, you may move an additional space, so you would actually have 2 spaces for free. So you could move 1, 2, and then simply pay a cube here to move to this space. This upgrade tile allows you to increase your cargo carrying capacity, so it gives you 3 additional spaces, because normally you are restricted down to 10 spots, but with this you can add an additional 3. And then finally we have victory point tiles, so you could simply take victory points, and as you can see, the victory points get lower as you go down. The game of Eastern Wonders ends when one player takes their 4th victory point token, at which point that triggers the end of the game, and each player will be able to finish out the round. At the end of the game, you will tally up the points that you have on your victory point tokens. Each non-yellow cube is going to be worth 1 victory point. You will also add any victory points that you got from upgrades, and if you were able to clear off spaces on your board, those will count as victory points as well. You tally up all the victory points, and whoever has the most victory points is the winner of the game. And that's how you play Eastern Wonders.
Okay, so now this is not a full-blown review because all the components, everything you saw here, it's pretty close to final, but some things might change and everything, and I'm sure I'll play it many more times. But I have to say I really enjoyed it. Now this is a slightly heavier game than the original Century Spice Road. That's a great gateway game, anyone can play it. This is really not that much more complex, but it does offer more choices. You essentially on your turn in this game have a lot of places to go. You're going to look at the board. The board's going to be random each time, and you're trying to figure out the best combination of moving your ships around, putting out your trading posts, and trying to get the best markets to kind of focus and make the cool combinations. So you have to decide, am I going to spread out as much as possible, getting those really cool bonus tiles, or am I going to find a nice little engine to change these cubes to these cubes to these cubes? The game is kind of every move counts type thing, so you're sitting there trying to figure out which of these tiles is the best one to go to. And I found that even though there's a lot of similarities with machines, you don't have this hand of cards that you're playing. In this game, instead, you are trying to do some logistics. It's essentially almost kind of a pick up and delivery game as you're picking up the cubes from one spot, maybe turning them into other cubes and then sending them over to get these. But the bonus tiles is kind of interesting too, because yes, it's great to get the 6-point bonus tile, but maybe you want something that actually helps you. I like decisions like that where it's a tile that maybe I want that extra red tile, that extra red cube every time I rest, or maybe I want to have more room in my thing, or maybe I just want the 6 points, or maybe I want my ship to move faster. The player interaction is definitely here because every time your ship's in an area and someone goes there, they're going to have, when you drop cubes off, other people are picking them up. So that's one way of player interaction. You have the markets. If someone's already built their markets there, you have to pay extra cubes to the bank. And if someone else's ship's in a spot that you go into to take your action, you're going to have to pay them a cube. So all this being said, to mention that there's fewer things to go for, there's only 4, and once the game gets cranking, only 3 tiles, you're kind of all fighting over them. So this, while I wouldn't call it a vicious game, definitely has a lot more player interaction. You're simply going to occasionally say very mean things to the person who just took that tile that you so desperately wanted. So this is a slight step up from the first game. I'm going to do another video that kind of explains more the differences between them. But if you've never played Century before, when this comes out later this year, it's certainly one to keep an eye out. That's Century Eastern Wonders.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door.